Hospital Selayang. And currently, she's also there serving as a pharmacist for the past 2 years. So I'd like to welcome all our three speakers today. So, okay, why not? Without further ado, we would like to begin with our session today. Okay, so let's just start with something very general. Let's just enlighten the audience a bit more on what is actually your role in your work setting. So we have three work settings here. We have industrial, we have community, and we also have hospital. So why not we start with Mr. Johnson? So Mr. Johnson, would you like to enlighten us what is actually your role in your work setting?
Right. First and foremost, thank you, Tajir and the organizing committee for the introduction. So I'm being invited as a representative for the private setting, especially on the pharmaceutical industry. So I was understood that there are several bunch of audiences in this room. It could be alumni, it could be working adults who is looking for opportunities in different roles in pharmaceutical industries, and also their current undergraduate students as well. So just a little bit of highlight about what pharma industry is all about, because in pharma industry there are a lot of department ranging from the productions, QA, QA, quality control and quality assurance, up to the level of sales and marketing, right? I believe in our curriculum, we are not much exposed to sales or marketing, right? Most of our curriculum is more towards QA, QS, productions, pharmaceutics, and everything, right? So sales and marketing is essentially a different thing, right? Marketing is all about product. We are managing the product, and we always want to give a idea is that what makes our product different from the rest of the competitor, and what kind of impression that we want to give to others, right? Let's take paracetamol as example, right? Every pharma industry has their own version of paracetamol, and we all know it works the same in terms of bioequivalence. So what makes us different? What kind of impression that we want to give to the others? So that basically my job is all about. So to do that, my role is always revolved around with striking a balance between the business and also the science. Is that I translate those science in terms of formulations, in terms of pharmaceutics into our unique selling point, and then we translate into our marketing material. It could be a piece of brochure, it could be a piece of video, everything. So that basically my role is about. So it requires a little bit of science, whereby our clinical knowledge, our knowledge in pharmaceutics come into picture. And then we need a little bit of art of articulations on how to translate those science into our user. For example, it could be a pharmacy owner, it could be a GP doctor, it could be a hospital consultant. So whereby we target different message accordingly, right? So in short, it's a balance between a business and also science, whereby I translate science into artwork and creativity and get more material for the salespeople to get the sales done. So that basically my role is.
So thanks, Mr. Johnson. I think you actually highlighted a lot of doubts and questions that might the public have at the moment or in the past, where people think pharmaceutical industry we won't really use our knowledge as a pharmacy graduate in industrial settings. So by now, I think thank you for enlightening us on this. So why not we like to hear from Mr. Fu instead. How is his role in as a pharmacist in a community setting? So yeah.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. First of all, I would like to thank IMU for inviting me uh, to share my experience as a community pharmacist. Okay. Okay. Well, basically, as a community pharmacist, you might think that community pharmacy is more of like business. Okay, I would say this is a common perception from all of us here. Okay, so it's like, we are doing what we're doing is like selling and taking money from pharmacy and make a living from it. But I would like to share more in detail of what we actually doing every day. I will say community pharmacies is about making a right and good choice for the customer, for the patient that we are serving every day. So what I want to say, okay, a good choice and a right choice might, from our point of view, might not be the right choice for the customer. Okay, for example, the more expensive the original drugs, the proprietary brand, or the cheaper alternative generic for the customer. Okay, so this will make a difference in the customer compliance. Okay, if a customer they will wanted to get the original, okay, for example, paracetamol. Okay, the paracetamol might not be a very good example. Okay, maybe something amlodipine, I would say. Okay, a long-term medication they are not getting from the hospital, but the difference in prices actually affect their compliance as well. So if you are giving a comfortable one, or you can do the recommendation, a comfortable brand with the comfortable pricing to the customer, and it eventually actually improve their compliance in the medication taking. So this is what I said, the making a right and good choice for the customer. Okay, so because in contrary to the hospital setting, or the other pharmacy setting, actually community pharmacy give you the authority to make decision for customer. So that is what we do every day. If you are someone who like to make decision, then I will say the community maybe is a choice of your future career pathway lah. If you like to make decision, if you always think that you want to give something better for the customer, then I would say community is a good career pathway for you. Okay, so back to the questions, I will say, what is our role in the work setting? I would say basically is all about these four elements. We call it DRMS in our pharmacy setting. Okay, the D actually is go for dispensing and diagnostic. Okay, actually community pharmacy, we actually diagnose minor ailments from customer. Let's say they have a fungal infection on the hand or at the back. So that is what we call the diagnostic. And dispensing, the customer bring in a prescription, we actually dispense the medication to them according to the prescription. And what is R? R, I will say, is records. So as you all know, actually you all will have a membership with your community pharmacy that actually records your purchase, that record your medication. So this is what we do, records. M is monitoring. We actually monitor their progress, what they bought from the last last transaction with us, and what is the next what they should purchase the next transaction. Okay, S is solution. So we give counseling, we give advice and extra information to them. So I will say every community pharmacy is practicing this DRMS in their daily work. So if the DRMS routine is addressed correctly, I will say we actually improve the quality of life of our customer lah. So even though that is part of the business, but to me, sales is not just transactional, but actually we are actually also helping the customer or the patient as well. So okay, as you all know that I also actually focusing on the marketing job in the pharmacy, in the community pharmacy right now, because to me, marketing, you can actually reach more audience in terms of the public. So not only in my outlets, but actually the public on the internet, on the social media. So that is why during this tough time of pandemic, I actually switched my focus to the marketing side, so that I can actually give more accurate informations and to educate the public about what is correct and what is not correct. So through the marketing, I would say it's part of the community pharmacy responsibility to educate the public. So that's why I switched the focus to the marketing in order to reach more audience.
So thank you, Mr. Fu. I think this was a lot of new information coming in. I think some of us here today might don't know that, you know, there are a different level of responsibility that you have as a community pharmacist. It's not only dispensing medication, but it comes to sales, it comes to marketing, it comes to correction of the medication usage, it's the affordability to your particular customers, and a lot more. So thanks for enlightening us on this. I think you have given the audience a lot of answers to their doubts. From now onwards, I think they will see community pharmacies holding a lot of responsibilities on their shoulder. So okay, so last but not least, let's hear it from Ms. Bhalqish today from the hospital setting. So we all know that pharmacies, there are definitely pharmacies in hospital, but it's not only just dispensing medication. So let's hear more from Ms. Bhalqish, that what does she do in her daily routine as a hospital pharmacist.
Hi, good morning. First of all, thank you to IMU Alumni Association, as well as Jeet and the team for having me as a speaker today. I'm humbled. Okay, so as we all know, like what Tasdir said just now, hospital pharmacies, we don't only dispense medications. There are lots of backstage work going on. There are lots of we have TPN services, cytotoxic drug reconstitution services. We have the ward pharmacies, we have outpatient settings, we have inpatient settings. There are, as well as manufacturing, there's store where we procure the items as well. So I, in particular, I'm an inpatient pharmacist. So what I do on a daily basis is that in the morning, usually we prepare the medication trolley for the wards. So since the hospital has many wards and many departments, so we actually divided into several satellites. And my satellite in particular, we cover for the medical wards, the hepatology, rheumatology, derm, infectious disease, as well as respiratory departments. So we prepare the medication trolley in the morning. We actually get the prescriptions from the doctors. We screen, we look at the prescriptions if there are any errors, and we check if the medication that is given to the patient is appropriate, is it safe, is it necessary in the patient's treatment regimen, and then we prepare the unit because the medications, they come in unit of dose, so we put them in the medication trolley. There is counter checking going on, and then at the same time we get queries from the wards and the staff nurse in particular on how to dilute a particular medication, whether what kind of diluent you should use to dilute the medication. And then sometimes, you have patients who are, maybe they are pediatric patients. So for example, for paracetamol, you might not need tablet for this kind of patients, you may need syrup. So you have to see if there are commercially available syrups available in your hospital, or some medications you may need to do extemporaneous preparations for those kind of medications. And then apart from that, we also receive queries from doctors regarding suitability of certain medications, whether they are compatible for patients who are on Ral's tube. So on a daily basis, that's what we do. Apart from that, we also go to wards, not like the ward pharmacies. They're there most of the time. We do have rotations where we go to the wards and we counsel patients on their discharge medications, on the use of inhalers, all those devices like insulin, Clexane, all those devices that sometimes patients may know how to use, but you are there to make sure they understand things better. Okay, so those are the things that we do. And then apart from that, we also have this medication therapy adherence clinic that we have to attend to. So we see patients of a particular condition and we assess their compliance towards their medication. So this is what I do on a daily basis in my hospital. But for now, because we are a full COVID hospital, so our patients are all COVID patients, hence our role has been a bit limited. Hopefully the pandemic gets over soon and we can go back to our normal routine. So yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Bhalqish, for enlightening us on a lot of things, what is happening in hospital on daily basis. And I'm sure the pandemic has actually affected all our roles in a particular way. I think we are adapting to a new norm nowadays. And after listening to all three speakers, I'm sure the audience is much aware on what are we actually facing on the ground in different setting as a pharmacist. Is much more than just being called as a pharmacist, and just knowing about medication is much more than that. I think the responsibility is huge. So I'm sure when you are going on in your daily basis, daily routine in your work, you do have respective challenges that you face. So what about Mr. Fu, about yourself? What are the respective challenges that you face in daily basis in as a community pharmacist?
Okay. I would say before the COVID era, the challenges, of course, is sales. So you every day you wanted to do more sales and you. But nowadays, we entering the pandemic era. I would say the challenge is too much sales. So you're actually worried. Today you are getting too much sales, and then you have a higher chance of getting COVID. So of course, I would say the uncertainty, the stress, the sudden change of SOP, the government policy, all these had putting a lot of pressure, especially to us, the management side, and of course to our team members who are facing the public. They have a high chance of contracting COVID during their work. So these are all the pressure you can't actually I would say I myself is getting more stressful when you see the cases are flying up daily. So I would say this is the main challenge that we are facing in the community side. Secondly, I will say fake news. Okay, I will not only KKM is fighting fake news. Not only the government is fighting fake news. I will say community pharmacy is a frontliner in fighting fake news as well. Daily, you are actually getting a lot of new information from customer. Okay, they will come and ask you, hey, do you sell this ivermectin? People are telling me this is selling in Watson. Okay, and it's actually effective in preventing COVID, this and that. So I would say you must catch up with the market trend in the community setting, because we are the most accessible with the customer. That they will come and look for us and to verify their news. So we are the frontliner in fighting all these fake news. So this is the second challenge, because you are repeating yourself every day. And thirdly, I will say is price war. Okay, I think this happen in every community business. Not a complaint, but I will say this price war is part of the business. The pricing have to be competitive. However, I think it's time for all the community pharmacy to focus on the service. The service should be prioritized instead of just price war. I would say price war is good. Customer is getting a cheaper price, but the service should be prioritized.
Thank you, Mr. Fu. I think first of all, a lot of us, as the public, as the audience present today, we sometimes forget that the community pharmacists are actually one of our frontliners that are fighting together for the COVID, because they are actually directly dealing with the patients out there. Some of them that can't go and seek for medical attention at hospitals because hospitals are, occupied with COVID patients, ICU patients, and everything. So this is also part of the job of a community pharmacist, where you deal with people, and they are also frontliners, and they also have the same equal risk of getting COVID because of their daily routine. And thank you for also highlighting about the ivermectin issue. Yeah, we are also keep listening every day. Some of my friends that are working in community pharmacies also actually experience angry patients where they come in and they say that I want ivermectin no matter what, and you are not prescribing. Because as pharmacists, this is definitely our responsibility to educate them that this is not really the right pathway to go about it. So yeah, I think this is quite a challenge for you now. So thank you, Mr. Fu. What about Ms. Bhalqish yourself, as a hospital pharmacist? What I heard before this, you have a lot of responsibilities when it comes to wards, different patients, different diseases, different conditions. So what is your challenges when it comes to your daily work life?
Okay, so one of the main challenges is, of course, keeping up to date with the latest information. Okay, this is something really, really important that I've learned during this COVID time, especially because from time to time you keep seeing new updates, new protocols coming up, and then you lose track of what is going on. You kind of like, I thought this was what the dose is supposed to mean, this was what it's supposed to be, and then suddenly you realize, oh no, actually there's a change in the dose, there's change in the main medication that's being used. So one of the main challenges is keeping up to date with the latest protocols, because all hospitals would have their own protocols and guidelines to follow. So you have to really keep up to track with it. You can use all those electronic apps like UpToDate, Medscape, and all. So make sure you have them in your phone. That's one really important challenge that you need to overcome. Secondly is the long working hours in the hospital. As we all know, hospital is 24 hours operating, right? So that's another challenge. Um, we have like lots of shifts and all. So one thing you need to be ready about when you come to the hospital is you need to understand that you have to undergo like night shifts and all. So this is another challenge. Okay. The third challenge I would say could be, for some people may experience this, some people might not, which is a lack of recognition. Sometimes you go to the wards, you counsel patients, and then you do so many things, and you feel like you're not recognized there, because our job may look like it's pretty much straightforward, where we simply assess patients' medications and dispense drugs that are seemed appropriate by the doctors, necessary by the doctors. But certainly that's not true. Okay, although yes, delivery of medication is a major part of the job, but the role definitely extends beyond this. We are seen as a core member of the hospital team where it comes to patient care. Okay, and then the last challenge that I personally experience is definitely language barrier. Sometimes you have patients, like they don't understand Malay, they don't understand English. So language barrier is definitely there. So one way of overcoming this, I would tell those who are in the universities, take up learning a new language. It can be Mandarin, it can be Tamil, it can be any language. Take up, because it's definitely a plus point. It's definitely going to help your patients. Even sometimes, I've got colleagues who know how to do sign language. I think that is a very good thing, because you have patients who are deaf, who may not really understand what you're trying to tell them. So taking up a language is definitely a plus point that you should look up to. So yeah, those are the main challenges.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bhalqish. Yeah, I think I've also heard a lot of people having problems with shifts, with long working hours, especially during the pandemic. I think the healthcare system as overall is trying their best to cope up with it. And then with the current norm, with the changing of guidelines, I think all the pharmacies out there, we need to keep ourselves up to date with the latest things, so that we can definitely be out there to counsel our patients in no matter in which setting we are. So moving on, so I'll pass this to Mr. Johnson. I think Mr. Johnson, definitely you will also experience certain challenges in your daily routine. So would you like to share that with the public today?
Yep. So I would answer these questions from two aspects. First is from our own so internal challenges, and also external challenges whereby the market. So from our company is I need to strike a balance between two aspects. First thing first is the timeline, how much time we have to do a project. Second is in terms of quality, how impactful or how big or how small the project is. And third is also a budget, right? So we have to strike a balance between budget, timeline, and also the quality of the work at the same time within this time frame. Because our portfolio has multiple products, and how are we going to allocate the resources and time for each of the product to create an impactful message, right? Second is the method of delivery. How do we deliver the material or key message to our prescriber, right? So before the pandemic time, our sales team will go one pharmacy or by one pharmacy, or one GP by one GP to give the material, see them in person, and give them the latest update and highlight our product differences and get the sales done, right? And of course, I believe Mr. Fu will feel the same with us, right? They may reject the sales call by the by the sales representative, right? The sales team are seen as a high risk group whereby they reject the sales call, which is understandable, normal. So as a marketing team, how can we support the sales team, right? So one of the key effort is via the online webinars or online material that will be sent to our prescribers, right? So this one of the way that they do it. And then I move on to the next aspect, which is adaptability to the market. Challenges is that yes, price war is not only happening in the community pharmacy or GP setting. It happens between pharma company and pharma company as well. So the challenge is how are we going to make sure we can highlight our key product differentiation and how are we different from them, and how we can provide value and justify the cost. Because when it comes to price war, if we want to be so-called cheap, I don't like to use the word cheap, but I have to, right? So if you want to be cheap, there's always another brand who will be cheaper than us, right? You take another example as a pharmacy, right? You sell this item for 5 ringgit, there'll be another pharmacy to sell it for 4.80. And then you end up the customer say, hey, the other side 20 cents cheaper, you know. So it will also happen to a same between pharma company as well, right? So the prescriber will say, hey, your paracetamol expensive by 50 cents, you know. So I'll what's the thing. So this will be part of our challenge as well. So we need to justify using our value, product positioning, and also unique selling point to justify the cost and highlight the key differentiation point. Of course, another one that would be the challenges in terms of adapting to the current guideline as well, because due to the shifting in guidelines, shifted in policy, be it in government, and also shift of interest of molecule, right? So we really need to get to know what is happening inside the ground, what is the favorite molecule or their choices of molecule when it comes to different diseases. It could be triggered by change of policy or change of guideline, in which the marketing side has to get to know with all those changes, and then we adapt the key message accordingly. So this will be the challenges that we face on the marketing side in pharmaceutical industry. So I'll pass the floor back to Tasjid.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Thanks for your sharing. So dear audience, you can actually see from all our three speakers, we are not only facing challenges when it comes to medication or dispensing, because our work is much more than that, our responsibility is much more than that, and that's why our challenges also extend much more than that. And right now with the pandemic, our all three sectors are facing a lot of challenges. We are trying our best to adapt to our new norm in different ways possible, because of our settings that are different in a way. So I think some of our audience, or even in your daily lives, because I'm sure a lot of people have asked you that why did you actually choose your particular career pathway that you are in today? Because pharmacists have various career pathways that we can see today. We have three today joining us. So I'm sure there is a reason that drive you to go further in your career pathway that you are today. So I actually would like to invite Miss Bhalqish to share that why did you personally chose to be in the hospital setting as a hospital or clinical pharmacist?
Okay, I realized this, especially when I was in IMU, when attending those, IMU CAS, voluntary, all those volunteering jobs. That's when I realized that actually it's important to have compassion. It's important to understand other people before you actually even tell them anything, before you judge them for something. You need to be in their shoes in order to understand why they do something in particular. Uh, for example, when you go to IMU cares, and then you go to these old folks homes or these children's homes, and you realize that actually not everybody is able to maybe buy medications. They come to the hospital to get their medications, and they might not even be adherent to their medications. So sometimes you need to actually put yourself in their shoes and understand why they do something in particular before even telling them, oh, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Because sometimes you have patients like coming to the wards, and then you realize they take traditional medications, and when you actually ask them, is it because they do not know that there are harmful consequences of taking certain traditional medications? So when you explain things to them, you put yourself in their shoes, you have compassion for them, you understand them. That's when you explain things to them, like you tell them these are the consequences of taking traditional medications, they tend to understand you better. So this is something I experienced during the IMU CAS volunteering activities, and this drove me towards being a hospital pharmacist, because this allows me to work closer to people of different age groups, and I tend to connect with them better and understand them better. So yeah.
See, I think this was very personal to you that made you go towards your career pathway where you are today. It was
Yes.
great listening that you actually chose something that you loved and you are passionate about. So why not we turn up to Mr. Johnson? I think you definitely have a lot of people asking you, you as a pharmacist, what are you doing in a pharma company? Am I right? So I definitely, or the audience definitely want to hear from your side as well. Why did you actually chose to be in this career pathway?
Sure, sure. Yeah, it's true that I get some questions, including my parents as well, right? So when I started my first job as a product specialist in a sales team in the previous company, Mark Shop and Dom, right? Uh, yeah, so since you're a pharmacist, why you want to become a salesman, right? I get this, right, including my parents. So I choose a pharma industry due to several reasons. My interest in the pharma is that I want to get to see what is the behind the scene, even before the pharmaceutical product reached to the customer. And I enjoy initiating whether it's a scientific discussion or it could be a business discussion between the stakeholders like prescriber, potential patients, and also between the pharma company and suppliers. So this are what I enjoy doing that. And third is opportunities in terms of the ceiling, in terms of corporate ladder. Yeah, so I see is the competitiveness is there, but during my time previous back, there is still relatively lesser people from the pharmaceutical background to join the pharma industry. So I choose to be there so that I can get away from the competitiveness. Because then during that time is the peak of the bottleneck of getting the PRP training in the government sector. I think my senior at the peak, the waiting time could be as long as 1.5 years. So that makes me say, oh, okay, I do not want that kind of uncertainty. I need to deal with it since I plan to deal with it. So government training has been slashed out from my option. So next is community and pharmaceutical industry. Then after thinking, this is what I like to do, I want to try in pharma industry, and hence I joined into the commercial team and then end up with marketing team. So to sum up, is my I want to get away from competition that time. Second thing, I see the potential in terms of a corporate ladder. Third, I enjoyed doing business discussion or also scientific discussion with the key stakeholders. So that will be my take.
So thank you, Johnson. I'm sure that the starting point, it might
So back to
be,
you, Tasri.
yeah. So okay, thank you, Johnson. I feel all of you can hear me, right? Just testing. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So for you, maybe the initial reason to actually step into industrial is to avoid the competition, but I'm sure later on you actually found something that you are interested in and something that you would like to do as as a person in the rest of your, as a rest of your life in the future. So thank you for your sharing. So right now, we also would like to know from the community pharmacist himself, Mr. Fu, actually what made you to choose, because you definitely had the training as a hospital pharmacist early on, but then you chose to move on to community pharmacy. So maybe you can share with us that what made you take this step.
Okay, thank you. Okay. First of all, I would like to emphasize that, you know, my life in the hospital setting, I was in charging of the inpatient department in hospital typing before I actually quit the job. It was a very, very enjoyable and I would say a very good job to me. Okay, I really enjoy it. Until one point that I actually, you know, I started working as a locum in the community setting. I work in Guardian. I work in Guardian Pharmacy. You know, typing. I live in Ipoh, so during the weekend I will actually travel back to Ipoh, and then there's nothing to do in Ipoh, so that's why I go to the Guardian and practice as a locum pharmacist. That is where I actually find out that, you know, there are actually huge amount of unknown territory in terms of pharmacy, you know, the supplements and the dispensing. You know, customer will actually come to you and then they say they're looking for example, a morning after pill, a medicine for sore throat. You know, these are the things that we actually, you know, you feel very scared actually. You know, you feel very scared facing the customer because you doesn't know what is the next questions come to you, and you actually feel yourself actually there are still a big territory that you actually can explore, and that is where I actually started to getting more interest on the locum, and then from Guardian I moved to HDM Pharmacy. I worked as a locum in HDM Pharmacy. That is where I explore even more medication, different brand, different medication in I would say a different independent pharmacy that time. So that we have more brands of medication. That's where you actually even know more. And I would say this hungry for the new information actually drove me to choose this pathway, because I would like to have more new and latest information for myself. Okay, and another thing is before my advice to the floor, as before you actually choose your pathway, you must understand that you must know the importance of your personal goal, whether is it aligned with your company goals or not. Okay, if you are someone who really enjoys serving the public, I will say the community and the hospital setting are where you should go to, because you are actually serving the public through different way lah. Whether your personal goal is it aligned. So the career pathway is something important. I make a huge decision that time, because you've been working in the government for 4 years. Is a very hard decision for me to actually quit the government and join the community. So before you actually make the decision, you have to ask yourself, is there any room to growth? I would say, if you quit your current job, is there any room for you to grow? And after all, are you satisfied with your job? So if let's say you found a job that give you a different satisfaction, that is where you actually should choose the pathway lah. It's very funny, because even I work in Guardian during the Merdeka sales, and that you feel very happy. I feel very happy when I able to sell this supplement and that to the customer, even though the sales doesn't goes to me, but I am very happy be part of the fantastic sales of the Merdeka. So this is why drove me, it's all about job satisfaction lah. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Fu, for the meaningful advice to the audience. I myself, I think this is a very meaningful advice to those especially that are going into our careers, newly graduates, currently exploring into what field we should choose in the future. So sometimes as a new graduate, we might have the doubt that we feel that once we choose a career pathway, we're not going to choose, we're not going to change. That's it. It's just one way. But after listening to all three our speakers, I feel that the experience that all three of you face actually made you eventually choose something that you actually enjoy to do in your daily routine. So that is actually very important, rather than you forcing yourself to be somewhere where you don't enjoy, or maybe it's just not your cup of tea. Yeah. So I'm sure that you have spoken about your experience, and I also want to know more, or I want to ask the speakers to share that what is there any interesting experience in your, maybe during your university days, or maybe during your newly working life, your part-time jobs, where it actually enhance your working experience. So maybe we can start with Mr. Johnson this time.
Okay, sure. Yep. I would recommend those students, or whether you are in undergraduate or still in high school, to at least try to sell something. Right. My job back in university is being a promoter that sell milk powder, and then those who purchase the milk powder will entitle a free blood test for the cholesterol. So it's a multinational brand milk powder lah. So somehow I get the job from online, and then so my job is sell the milk powder, and then do the cholesterol free testing, right? So every day for 12 hours, I prick people from day until night. Right. So but it was fun. and also at the same time, it's somewhat related to our profession as well. But the key learning is how are we going to persuade the customer to choose our brand, and what are the value that we can provide to the customer. So from that, it's actually kind of built my interest to be in the sales or marketing line, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. And from there, it builds my confidence in articulate what you are trying to say. Because after all, no matter what industry that we are in, no matter what job we are in, is all involving sales. How do we present ourselves? How can we articulate our idea to make them believe what you are believe in, right? For example, including in a government setting, how are we going to convince the patient to accept your regimen of treatment? How can we convince to accept the patient counseling point, right? Even in the community, how are they going to make sure your choice is correct one? So all this involving sales and persuasion, that of course applies for pharmaceutical industry as well. So yeah, I think it's sales. Second thing is I was involving in Red Crescent Society. From there, I learned about first aid, right? So I was lucky enough to be the state champion for the first aid competition. So from there, it actually trains my leadership. It trains my adaptability to the environment, to the case and situation. So all these interesting things that trains me to be what I am today, right? So yeah, I pass the floor back to Tasya.
Okay, thank you, Johnson. Sometimes, like what you have shared, I think sometimes we kind of take for granted all our experience. Even small things, like you said, selling milk powder can actually turn your life, or even be a turning point for you to realize that where do you actually belong, or what kind of characteristic you have for you to better adapt in a different setting. So, next, maybe we can invite Mr. Fu to share with us any interesting experience that actually maybe is a turning point for your pathway today.
Okay. Okay, back in my time in IMU, we actually every time try to run away from the dean of pharmacy. They require us to wear tie in the campus. Okay, and we also skip classes sometimes. Okay, joking aside, I will say the university had actually shaped who we are today. Okay, why we need to actually wear the tie in the campus, and why we can't skip classes. It's all about professionalism, I would say. This is the most important value. I would say, being a pharmacist, you need to be professional. So regardless of who you are, which field you are doing right now, even you are in the pharmaceutical or in the hospital, I would say all the decision made today, it must be ethically correct. So this is the important value, and I will say I will always wanted to uphold this professionalism in my working setting. Anything that you think is ethically not correct, you must be the person who pointed out and switch, put it back on the right track. I believe all of us here are proud being carrying the profession of pharmacist lah, because I will say in the Malaysia setting, we are part of the important pieces in order for the country to actually to have a healthier population. And when you are part of this important mission, so our profession become very meaningful, and so do your life lah. I would say we all here live a meaningful life because we are pharmacists. So I would say what happened in the university is important, because that is university. You are not in the society yet. Okay, you are being protected by the campus and this and that. And when you actually graduated, this is how you should be a a correct person being a pharmacist. That's all my sharing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fu. I think I will definitely agree with you when it comes to our dress code. I think IMU has been really, really strict on that. I remember not really liking how the dress code was, because we are not. It's not flexible for us to wear anything that we like. We have to be professional all the time. But now coming to the working life, it has actually shown that this was actually just to train us that how is it going to be in the future. So it actually carries a meaning, but maybe during that time we didn't realize. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. So what about your side, Miss Bhalqish? Or what is your interesting experience that actually enhance your working experience at the moment?
Tasjir, you're right. Sometimes, like what you said, what we do in university life, we don't realize what's the importance until we go into our working life. Then we realize, oh yes, okay, this was why I did this. I remember during my uni life, I did take part in this event called Antimicrobial Awareness Week. I was so excited and we were doing everything, but we actually didn't quite know why we were doing it. We were just, taking part in it because maybe we we're going to get some points or something. So you are required to take part in an event, so you just take part. And then I realized, after coming to the hospital setting, and then when you meet patients, and then you interview them when taking their medication history, and then most of the times, you encounter patients that tell you, oh, I've not completed my antibiotic course, and then the reason they're admitted is because of that. They have some sort of infection because they did not complete their antibiotic regimen. Then you realize, actually, I attended that. I was part of the organizing team of this antimicrobial awareness week. And actually, that is the importance of it, creating awareness in patients about their antibiotics, but that they should complete the regimen. So that's something very interesting. It kind of drives me towards meeting my patients, talking to them, and finding out, why they did a particular thing, why they behaved in a particular way, and then explaining to them about the consequences of their actions, and that's how you kind of raise more awareness in patients. So I must say we are actually a valuable commodity in the service, okay, because not only we kind of educate doctors regarding these antibiotics, all these carbapenems, and that you should review them after 72 hours and all. We also actually impart wisdom to patients, and then you realize you actually make a difference in these patients' lives. So yeah.
So after hearing all the interesting experience that our speakers have faced, we can actually think back that, we have actually joined so many events back in university. Is it because of forcefully, or is it because we liked it to join? We just had to join, or is it because of our friends that wanted to join, so we just joined together with them? But thinking back, all these university experience, school experience has actually brought a lot of things, or a lot of knowledge to where we are today as a person, as a pharmacist that are working in 3 different sectors. So just and I'm sure that every sector that we are coming up with the discussion today, we definitely need certain type of training that are required in your respective field. So what about Mr. Johnson? Do you have any specific trainings that are required to actually enhance your job as a industrial pharmacist?
Sure. I would say to be in a sales or marketing, or regardless of what role you are in, I think there's one core skill we need to have is articulate things in a simpler manner, right? So one problem with pharmacists is in general, we are so professional, we are so want to be like lecturer that we keep on pushing our roles, our moral values to gush into the patients, um, because this may cause a disconnection between what we want to say versus what they want to hear, right? It may sound a bit deep, but my point is, we need to really polish on our articulation skills so that they can so-called get to understand what we are trying to deliver. That is one thing. So with that, I do have my own commitment and training for public speaking, just to get the feeling of what is it like to speak in the public, and how can I tailor my own key message to deliver to the public, right? So yeah, because previously I can't even speak well recently, during back the old days, right? So after training, I can at least like to articulate myself better. People can understand my presentation better. I think that is quite meaningful in my job. So yeah, in order to succeed in the sales or marketing line, the ability to articulate ourselves is something really important. That also applies to other roles as well. Yeah, so that would be my take lah. Back to you, Tashio.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Johnson. I feel that your hard work or your trainings have worked very well because you are here as a speaker today, and I'm definitely quite confident that everyone is able to understand and think that you are a great speaker. So moving on to Mr. Fu, what about your side? Is there any specific training that is available as a community pharmacist?
Okay. Besides the, like, I would say, basic trainings on like customer service, communications, like products training, I would say continuous training on medication, on products are, I would say, is important. Um, I would say we actually learn from our daily works lah. Okay, so sometimes we make mistake, and then we learn from our mistake, and sometimes we make some good decision as well. So this is where we actually, that will actually enhance our experience and journey lah in your career pathway. Sometimes you make a very good decision for customer, you giving some good advice to the customer, and customer actually come back to you and tell you, wow, Fu, this is amazing, huh? This is really working for me. And you actually learn something from this experience. I would say the community pharmacy, this setting actually changes very quickly, and you will need to adapt to it. The adaptation is very important. We were talking about 3-ply mask last year, and this year you have 4-ply, and then last week we have this KN95, and then now we have this KN99. It's keep on changing, and you need to adapt to it, and you need to equip with this latest information from time to time. So if you are not someone who are ready for changes, and you are not someone hungry for knowledge to improve, I will say you will lose out in the community setting. So sometimes you just can't Google it every time in front of customer. You in the community setting, you actually you are just given a life jacket, a full, just jump into the sea, and see how you actually going to survive. This is the biggest training, I will say. Okay, the life jacket training, because sometimes you are working on your own, and being a pharmacist in the shop, you are the topmost superior, and everybody actually expect you to answer every questions in the shop. And sometimes you just doesn't have a senior working alongside with you, and you are all on your alone, on your own. So I would say continuous training is the key word. And in order to be the expert, I would say we will never be the expert. I would say we are learning to be the expert. Mhm.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
all my sharing. Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Fu. So yeah, I'm sure there is always like continuous learning process for all of us here. And like you said, we cannot always Google in front of our customers because that definitely creates some kind of doubt in front of them, saying that you don't even know this, you don't even know that, so that is like, it actually kind of impact the relationship over there. So thanks for your sharing, Mr. Fu. Experience definitely teaches us a lot of things. And last but not least, Miss Bhalqish, what about your side? What are the trainings that you want to share with the audience today?
Okay, basically, in the hospital setting, we know it's more towards the technical side of it. It's all about the uh, pharmacology knowledge that you have, all regarding those modules involving those systems like the central nervous system, the respiratory system. So apart from all that knowledge that you need to have, you need to also be like what Mr. Fu said, adaptable. Okay, you need to keep yourself abreast to the latest updates to knowledge regarding the latest developments in the medications, because sometimes doctors may ask you, things like, do you know regarding this medication? Do you think we can get it? So you need to make sure you are updated about this medication. You kind of know in and out of the medication, because you are the drug expert. People expect you to know what you're going to talk about. So that's the main thing. Apart from that, trainings like if you're under a particular MTech, the hospital definitely provides you training regarding that MTech. Maybe it may be warfarin, it may be DMTech, it can be and like I'm under liver transplant, so we do have trainings under that. So yeah, basically it's more towards your knowledge that you gain in a university, uh, and other than that is about being adaptable lah. Because the pharmacy world is constantly evolving, so you need to keep yourself updated accordingly. And learning is definitely a lifelong process, so you learn along the way. So yeah.
So thank you, Ms. Balkish. From here, we can definitely conclude as a pharmacist, no matter which setting we are in, we have to be on our toes. We need to be updated with a lot of information because, yes, that is part of our responsibility. That is part of our job. And that's what people expect from us. So thank you for all the knowledge that the three speakers shared with us. We actually came to an end of this forum today. So before I can actually pass the floor to the speakers to address their closing speech, I would also would like to give 5 minutes to the audience to have a Q&A if you wish to. You can always unmute yourself and ask any speakers you want any questions they are willing to answer. Or if you are very shy, you are not willing to unmute yourself, you can type in the chat box and we will start with the Q&A lah. So I'll just give 5 minutes to the audience, yeah. So I'm sure we learned a lot of things today, especially as our role as a pharmacist. I think it's very important for us to address, the roles that or the responsibilities that we carry in our daily life as a pharmacist, because that's not everyone who knows it. We as pharmacists, we do understand each other, but sometimes as public, we tend to forget things. We tend to, just think that pharmacies are okay just to dispense drugs in a community pharmacies and not aware of what more or what else we carry on our shoulders. So Thank you so much to all the three speakers today, because it's a Sunday morning plus afternoon now. I'm sure you have a lot of work to do. I'm sure all of us are busy, but thank you for taking out your time. I'm sure the Alumni Pharmacy chapter is very, very appreciative of your time and your presence today. So, okay, there has not been any question from the audience from the floor. So maybe we can start off with our closing speech from the speakers. Maybe we can start off with Mr. Johnson first. Maybe a
Yeah.
little advice to the audience before we end the session today.
Sure. I would say it is perfectly normal if you are feeling not sure what to do after your graduations. It's perfectly normal. Yeah, you may feel lost. I don't know what to do. Should I wait for the government, or will I be kicked away from the government after my contract end? How am I going to get a job after this and that? The dilemma is definitely there. It's normal. It's very normal. And even I experienced that as well when I want to move into pharma industry straight away after graduation. It's perfectly normal. But before we make decisions of the charting out what we want to do in our career life, always ask ourselves one key questions. Is that what makes yourself different from the rest of the others when we take away our Bachelor of Pharmacy degree? Is that what makes ourselves different from the rest of others? Because every one of us here have Bachelor degree in pharmacy or master degree in pharmacy, or soon to have. So if let's say I take away the degree, what else we have? Always ask ourselves within that questions. So if let's say the moment we can answer that questions, which means we have some sort of unique advantage to make ourselves different from the rest of others, right? So with that, always open for changes and always open ourselves to learn new skill. I would say a skill set that will make ourselves more competitive to do what we want to do, or to achieve the job scope or the position that you like, right? Just a few example. I would say I would personally feel these are some of the skill set that will be very important and also will be an added advantage in our career life later. For example, it could be as simple as copywriting, writing skills, and also the ability to the selling skills, and also the ability to speak in front of public, like public speaking skills. Not forgetting photography or videography or basic designing or even digital marketing. So all those could be a very essential skill that can set apart from the rest of others, and we can use this skill set to do a better job in our career. So my take is open for changes and try new things and explore ourselves, so that we can stay afloat in the job competitiveness. So last but not least, of course, the job competitiveness, especially in private setting, is definitely there. Every year we have 1,000 plus in total fresh graduate, those who did not get the extension of contract, they will flood the private market. So the competitiveness is definitely there. But I also see there's a lot of opportunities out there, right? Because in the pharma industry, there's so much of department. In the community pharmacy, that we have so much of department as well. That includes the sales, marketing, productions, training, product specialists. All those things could be served as an opportunity, right? So be open for it. Be open for it. Don't just stick to a conventional job scope, right? Because the role of pharmacist is ever changing. So this is my advice.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. What about Miss Bhalqish from your side?
Okay, as for me, I would advise everyone that before you start your job, ask yourself what are you driven towards? What do you enjoy? What would you want to enjoy doing in the next 20 to 30 years? You don't want to go into something that you think that, oh my God, I have to wake up and go to work today. And every day is like day to day, you keep thinking about the same thing and you're like, oh no, why did I even choose this job? So, ask yourself something that you really enjoy doing, because remember, you're going to do this for the next 20 to 30 years in your life. Definitely, it has to be definitely something that you want to do. Don't follow your friends. Do something that really motivates you, and find an experience that is going to encourage you to be motivated towards your job. So yeah, that's more important now.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bhalqish. Last but not least, Mr. Fu, before we can officially end this event today.
Okay. Okay, I will say everything happened for a reason. So you shouldn't be worried of making wrong decision in your career pathway. Today I will say I'm a good community pharmacist because I actually work in the hospital setting for 4 years. That give me a lot of exposure, experience, and knowledge. That is who am I today? And always ask yourself, if you are not happy with the current setting, so can you be part of the forces to change it or not? Okay, if you are able to change it to make it better, then just keep going and work towards your goals, and so that your personal goals actually align with what you are doing every day. And if you cannot change it, then why not you can just move to the next chapter in your life, and you can choose a different pathway. And there's advantages of being a pharmacy graduate, because our career pathway are a lot of choices. And last but not least, I would like to end my sharing today with this quote. I think it's a very meaningful to me, and I will always practice it. Okay, so here we go. Success is not key to happiness, but happiness is the key to success. So if you're happy with your daily work, then you'll be success no matter how. Okay, that's all my sharing today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fu. So from all the three speakers, we definitely learned a lot today. We have been exposed to a lot of things that might not we are not aware of, maybe. And also for the audience, a takeaway message is do find something that you're passionate about, rather than going for it just forcefully or for some other reasons, because we're definitely going to carry this until the rest of our life. So this will matter to us in the future, in our work life, in overall our mental and physical health. So that's all from me. As the moderator today, I would like to thank the speakers again from the Alumni Pharmacy chapter. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presence today. So before we could officially end the event today, I will request to all the participants, maybe you can on your video so that we can have a small photo session, and then we can end it. And all of y'all can have lunch. I'm sure all of y'all are hungry, right? So maybe all of us can turn on our video so that we can start with our photo session. Okay, also Mr. Junseng, Zhengwei, you guys are part of the committee member. I think you do want to turn on your video so that we can, yeah, thank you. Okay, so Boris will help us to have the photo session, yeah?
Yep. We wait for participants on their video. We give them about 30 seconds. Then I will cue everyone to be ready.
Sure.
Okay. And again, on behalf of IMU Pharmacy Alumni Chapter, thank you everyone. Thank you the speakers as well as participants for taking your time on this lovely Sunday to join us in this event. So we will start capturing in 10 seconds. So please do not feel shy to open your webcam. Okay, great. So in count of 3, 2, 1, everyone say cheese. Okay, one more. All right. So yeah. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely lunch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.